All right, welcome to Social Distillation, the submarine still of the internet, where we attempt to drop the bead and pour white lightning straight on your brain. And we will be pouring white lightning straight on Sam's brain live today because there was some miscommunication, and he thought we were going to do a live reaction to this episode. We're going to try and set that up for the finale of this first season.
So think of
So
this as a dry run.
yeah, so
A
I've
very
already
dry run. No lube.
I was Yeah, you went there, didn't you? I was thinking extra dry martini, but sure, you, buddy.
I could do both.
Uh, so I've already watched this episode. What episode are we on? 6, I think.
6, yeah.
So I've already watched this episode. I watched it last night, and we're gonna get Sam's live reaction and pause and rant as needed. Um, I'm curious what you're gonna think and when you're gonna get annoyed. Um, I feel like the last episode kind of broke me because I didn't have a really strong reaction to this episode. I was just like,
Well, and
just kind
sometimes you
of
get
trying
that
to get
middle
through
of
it.
the season episode anyways. That's just kind
Yeah,
of meh, which to me, as per our previous conversations, is probably a good thing because that a lot of times is where some character development starts.
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
that's what happened, so don't tell me, but sometimes that those lulls in the action is where you start to actually get a little background on some people or attachment, hopefully, to some people, because there's very little even to the main characters at this point.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're trying this. I'm going to be live watching it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my mute because we're worried about the sound and
Yeah.
any copyright issues and stuff. So I'm going to mute except for when I actually want to say something. So if I start moving my mouth, remind me I'm on mute.
Yeah.
And
So anyone that wants to watch hasn't watched it yet and wants to watch along with us, we're at 1 minute 5 seconds. We've skipped the recap and the credits, and we're about to start it. So I'll give a countdown, and we'll both hit play, and we'll see what happens. All right, you ready, Sam?
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
I don't mind this so much so far.
Yeah. Well, credit where it's due. It is a very good crew. It is very well shot. That's definitely something they've done.
But it also gives you kind of a background on why this person's the way she is.
Mhm.
Not quite how I imagined the fishing spot. So the fingers
Mhm.
in tier, but
You can
All right, let's go ahead and pause after this scene. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, and pause. Okay, so first of all, when I turned my mic on, how bad was the music coming through?
Not enough to be a problem, I think.
Okay, because I turned the gain the wrong way and I turned it back to where it was. So it should only read things in front of it at this point. As long as I'm still coming through clear, that's fine. Good things about it. Like you said, the camera works good.
Yeah.
The production's good.
You know, their locations are nice, but I don't know why. I don't know where they filmed this and how much of the background is just, you know, matte painting or whatever, to make it look like a rural China, basically. I don't know why they went with that aesthetic when the actual nation of Tyr is more analogous to, say, Louisiana or the Nile Delta or something like that.
Yeah, so somewhere in the world where a major city opens up to a giant delta that feeds into the main ocean.
Well, I guess I just thought I guess if their inspiration could have been like the Mekong Delta, which is another one of those, okay, maybe they could have gone that route.
Yeah, except he called her the child of the river.
Yeah.
And so this gives you the impression that it's a freshwater river type.
Well, Tyr does sit up on the river. It is a major port, but it actually sits...
I'm just talking about the impression you get. So if you've read the books and looked at the maps, you know what we're talking about. But if you're just watching the show, I mean, it's like somewhere in the middle of a mainland that just happens to have a lot of rivers go through it.
And this is my first time watching it on my browser. I'm usually watching with the Fire Stick on TV, and so I've got their X-ray thing, the side view up, and they give, you know, snippets and general trivia, and I was like, well, I mean, that's great. You've got these, you know, these little tidbits of information to help round out and flesh out the world and explain to the audience, but you kind of need to do that in the show.
Yeah, not just as a if you pause it here, you can get this information.
Yeah,
because right here I got general trivia. The nation of Tyr contains the greatest seaport in the Westlands with a great tradition of fishing. Interesting, even though, and I guess I got to click on something to see more, but this gives you no impression that it's on the cusp of being on the ocean. And so, and I think they described the area around Tyr as being relatively flat. It was marshes.
It's marshes, and it's a coastal plain area. All
it was Ibu Dar that was mountainous around the ocean. But yeah, Tyr was always described as kind of flat. But of course, that's nitpicking. I mean, obviously the scenery is beautiful here, but they did a good job of setting her up for her, you know, if she does her fish girl analogies as she goes through, as the way she talks and stuff.
And she comes from a very peasant, you know, poor fisher girl background, contrasted to a lot of the Aes Sedai who come from,
well, more specifically Moiraine.
And live, even the ones that don't live like nobility, and she comes from a very tough background. In the book, she makes a lot of allusions and references to her father and to growing up. So I did like the interplay here, and thought that he did a good job. But one of the other tidbits of trivia here is that channeling is illegal in Tyr. Okay, well, I was expecting there to be, like, you know, soldiers, militia, constable, whatever. They kind of make it seem like, oh, she's a witch and the villagers just burnt down their house to drive her out, rather than being expelled from the country. So again, with the little tidbit of trivia, which theoretically will come back into play later in the series when the main characters actually go to Tyr, if they do. We'll see what the hell they're doing here with the story.
Well, I'm assuming that, okay, so if you look in the background where we're paused, there's mountains, but then you see a giant dome-like building. I'm assuming that's supposed to be the stone of Tyr.
Yep.
That's where I would go with that. But yeah, hopefully we come back here, because as with Harry Potter, book 3 was the best one
Mhm.
of the series, and that's where you come back to Tyr, and everything starts to really come together. Uh, but yeah, I just don't it again. This one's not there. There's nothing horrible about this
Yeah.
opening.
It,
There's things I wish would have been there, because
uh-huh.
she in the books, she first channeled when she was attacked in an alley by a bunch of people trying to basically rape her.
Yeah.
And her, in the past she had defended herself with just a knife, but it was too much, and she channeled that way and ended up having to leave. Whereas here, untying a knot, ooh, that's
Well,
awesome.
I don't mind that because it's doing it to help her father. It's helping with that connection with her father.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if I was to have wishes here, as
Yeah.
far as sticking with the books.
My only problem with it was just generally through the series, they don't do a good job of showing how difficult it is to channel and how
Mhm.
taxing it is on the channeler physically.
Especially since she would be considered here what's called a wilder.
Mhm.
Which is someone who learns who figures out they can do it on their own.
So they I guess they kind of do it of, a week ago you couldn't even do this, now you're getting better. So yeah, but in the books you find that learning on your own is incredibly difficult
And dangerous.
yeah, and dangerous,
Mhm.
and girls who are not guided through that, one, maybe they'll do this with other things later that I don't want to get into, because it could spoil things for people who don't know what's coming. But you develop, well, they mentioned it early in the series, or last episode actually, is Valda saying that he had learned from an Aes Sedai that the hand motions aren't even necessary. It's
Mhm.
just
Tradition.
it's just
Yeah.
tradition. It's kind of a
We learned it this way, so we're stuck in that pattern.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a learned behavior that sticks you in, and the same thing can happen then if you learn on your own. You get stuck in different patterns.
Which actually, no, we said we weren't going to give away the books. I was going to say
Yeah.
that's actually a good thing for foreshadowing.
Yes.
But
So my biggest problem with the scene is that it's frustrating because it seems like such a missed opportunity, because it is such a good scene,
mhm.
but it could have been a great scene, because the overall problem with the series for me is how shallow and rushed everything seems. What timestamp are you on? I think I got a little bit ahead of you.
557.
Okay, 5:57. So let me get there.
Well, my beef runs along the same line of thinking in a slightly different way, because we've talked about the 1 month later on the road and everything.
Yeah.
This making it not this making it seemingly inland, and not kind of showing the fact that this is on the edge of what they think of as the world.
Yeah.
At this point, kind of consolidates the world. And
Yeah.
everything is really been consolidated right now, other
And
than an offhand comment of we've been on the road this long.
I don't think it would have been that hard to do to show more accurately from the books the geography here, because you've already got map painting in the background. So why couldn't you have cut out some of those mountains and then shown in a put into the background there where it opens up into a coastal plain, and you can see the city a little more clearly. You can see the river beginning to branch out into a marshy delta and that kind of thing.
Well, an even better place for that would have been where I started, because I went through the opening scene, and you said you hit skip and it put you a little bit ahead of where I ended up. And there was
I skipped the recap.
Yeah, there was a valley looking down.
Okay, yeah, that's like the opening shot is as it comes into frame.
So the pictures of the house and the father and the daughter could have been like it is now, but shown that opening, except on the other end of it was a vast ocean.
Yes,
or a delta leading into a vast
as
ocean.
the camera kind of zooms down into this valley. At that top shot should have shown that this valley is like the end of the ragged terrain, and then it just opens up into coastal plain and marsh.
Mhm.
But what got me on this rant really is the symbol they zoom in on there, which they haven't talked about, they've barely shown. That's a big deal, and to draw that symbol on someone's house is a big deal, and they don't even tell you the name of that symbol.
The dragon's
um
fang, right?
well, actually, it's actually wrong again, because I just realized as I was talking that, or at least the way I understood it in the books, is the dragon's fang that would be scrawled as, an accusation or an insult or something like that, is half the yin yang symbol,
Mhm.
and the full symbol is representative of other things. I think you see it in the opening credits. I think they show the symbol, and there's
Yeah,
a
but
big reason it's black and
that
white.
doesn't even come up till like book 5.
Uh-huh. So there,
Because the one half is the Aes Sedai and the other half is the dragon's fang.
yeah. So they're showing you, yeah, that's right. Because it's the dragon's fang, and then the other way is the
Mhm.
tear,
Mhm.
is the tear of Tarvalon, uh, or sometimes the flame, because it's a lick of flame.
Mhm.
Anyway, so again,
Which is the title of this
it's
episode, isn't it? The Flame of
yeah.
Tarvalon. Yeah.
So it's shallow because they're showing you these things, but they're not doing a good job of explaining it, so you don't get the depth that you should have, that really brings you into this world.
Mhm. All right, I'm ready to continue if you are.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
How's that coming through sound wise?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, so I got it the right way. So it only hears it from the front. And what we'll do is if it still comes through, we'll post it. And if it gets taken down, it gets taken down.
Yeah.
That's why, for those that are watching, we're going to do our full response as a separate episode, just in case.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to skip this? I'm not getting the option to skip it. Damn it. All right. So as we're watching the intro, what they don't do a good job of explaining is the wheel is actually the wheel spinning yarn. And the weaving of the pattern is all of those pieces coming together. So when they talk about the wheel of time, it is the wheel of souls, basically. And your
Yeah.
soul is like that piece of yarn woven into a pattern.
It's the classic. I think it's most prominent in Norse mythology, but I know it pops up in other places, that the universe weaves the tapestry of life, and so your thread is predetermined. How your thread is woven into the pattern is utterly beyond your control. And there are actually philosophical debates, even in the books and in these mythological settings, of how much control you have, how much you can direct your own thread. I feel like they could have done something a little different, a little better. Again, it seems like they're going for a Game of Thrones thing here, but one of the things I liked about the Game of Thrones intro is that you actually get a sense of the geography, because they're showing you the map of the world. So you get a sense of geography, and it helps you understand, especially early on, who's where and what's going on.
Let's give it a pause on that note real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that note, that would have been awesome in this idea of the Wheel of Time, because we have the maps, and you could have done something like that, had that map flash across and show the two rivers, how little it was, how isolated it was, and then expand that out. But because Game of Thrones did it, it would have been
too much of a knockoff.
Almost plagiarism. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
almost plagiarism to do the same thing. So I agree, that would have been an awesome way to do it, but I can 100% understand why they wouldn't go that route.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I just thought of that I feel like they could have done here that would have been a little better with that intro is instead of just this generic, all right, so it weaves out these Aes Sedai and it gives you an idea of the different colors, which they haven't really done much except to kind of reference the
They talk about
blues
the
and the
green a little
greens.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about the the blues and the reds and the greens, so you get an idea of what's going on there, and so you see the different factions. But I feel like they could have done even more if the weaving would have been the actual characters from the show to give you to give you a more definitive idea of what the heck this is. This isn't just, artistry for the sake of artistry. This is this weave, this loom is an integral part to the universe, to this
Mhm.
world setting.
Now I'm just looking down the cast real quick while I have that up. Leonie, she's hot, so that's good. She's supposed to be. See, why couldn't they have cast Alana as well as they did Leonie?
Mhm. All right, I'm ready to start when you are.
All right, ready?
Yep.
And go.
Yeah, your sound is really coming through loud there.
Okay, I'll mute it. Logan's actress is not bad. He's doing all
Yeah.
right. We need a pause here.
Right.
All right. That was going well till that last statement. That implied he's still going to go mad even though he's gentled.
Mm.
And that is part of that was actually, I think, direct quote from the book.
Mhm.
I don't remember if it was Swan that said it or someone else to Logain that you're going to live out the rest
Or
of your
about
days.
him, yeah.
Yeah, about him. But that end quote there, that until you lose yourself to the madness, he's, again, spoiler for the book for those that haven't read it, but that stops after you've been gentled because you're no longer touching the taint. If you're already mad, you will continue to be mad.
Yeah, so your madness will not progress, but it won't be cured either. And
Well,
and
there was some implication that it could be cured because it's not being furthered by the taint. So we could actually basically do real cognitive behavioral therapy on you now.
Yeah, yeah. And there were mentions of Aes Sedai who then or in the past had studied mental disease instead of just curing physical ailments. But that could have been fixed and expounded on the world with just one simple word there. It's not succumbing to the madness that's going to kill him. It's succumbing to the emptiness. The emptiness that you feel when you have touched the power that drives the loom, the power that literally drives the universe, and now suddenly it's not there. You know, one of the metaphors that's used a lot is it's like being blind. It's like you've suddenly been blinded. So, and it's not just for him because it happens to women too, that if you get cut off for the source, and so it is a point of concern for Aes Sedai that live with, you know, that little bit of fear in the back of their mind of what would happen if they were cut off. So it really is another big missed opportunity. But I do like the actress here and her portrayal of Sawan as this Iron Lady, you know, as someone who is incredibly strong, strong-willed, and forceful in her personality and her ability to command.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn a little bit because back to our earlier comments about the background of her, she's almost overly regal here though. So I thought that was I would have liked to see her just more straightforward and abrupt. But
a little more like Leanne, who is very severe in her look and in her attitude, which is spot on from the books. That she's very no nonsense, especially when it comes to the station of the Emerald seat and the respect due her. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that in Sawan's portrayal.
Yeah, but other than that's just nitpicking. But the not nitpicking was that statement because it's again something that's integral to the whole fabric of their being in the books. So, all right, ready?
What time are you at? Let me make sure I'm
12:25.
Okay.
Well, and the way we're talking about this, a couple seconds off isn't going to make a big deal.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
And go. Good thing he's not an Epstein.
I just looked at I just looked up the actress for Lana. She actually is very good looking. I don't know why they make her so frumpy looking in the show.
All right, pause. Okay, so when I made my comment about Leanne,
Mhm.
are they pronouncing it Leanne here?
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard her name spoken.
Okay,
That's just always how I read it in my mind.
oh well, the back of the book pronunciation things was
Oh,
Leanne.
I missed that one then.
I made the comment about her being good looking, scrolling through the actresses on the little sidebar. But then when I saw her on the screen, I was like, they made her less good looking.
Well, I'm actually okay with that because that comes into, well, should come into play later. But here in her role as
Okay, if we
keeper, she's
trust them
very
to stick to
severe.
the story later,
Yeah,
then that
yeah.
would come into play. But
They've kind of done the same with Alana. Is now that she's in the tower, she's showing off what she got there, showing
Mhm.
off her assets. But other than that, I feel like they've done a very poor job of making her look feminine and alluring, which
Mhm.
she uses to as we've ranted about before, to disarm and to uh, uh, get her way.
And let me nip something in the
Basically.
bud here. This is a good spot for it. For those of us that are gonna give us hell about talking about how beautiful someone is
Mm-hmm.
as a marker. Imagine if Perrin was wimpy,
Mm-hmm.
or Rand was short,
Mm-hmm.
or Lan was not badass warrior guy.
Yeah.
Right. That there are these measures that, yeah, sometimes they can be chauvinistic, but at this point, there's an important reason for the way they, when we talk about the feminine beauty. So
As part of the depth of these characters.
Mhm.
And how they get by. I mean, we contrasted her with the brown sister that you will theoretically see later that Alana travels with, and she has a completely different way
Mhm.
of because all Aes Sedai kind of operate under a mask. What most of them, some of them tend to wear their emotions on their sleeves, but most of them are very cunning, to the point of conniving.
Mhm. All right, we'll get back to it and go.
I like that the overhead shot of the council chamber.
Okay, pause. I guess they did away with the I could feel someone who could channel
Mm-hmm.
around me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, this may seem like nitpicking, but it matters in the setting, and it's another point of where it's shallow, that it wouldn't have been that hard to, I could sense she had the spark, which is what they called it.
Mhm.
But if she wouldn't have known how powerful she was until her talent started to develop more. And it's also kind of nitpicky, but I don't always like the way they show the power. It's always just like looks like wisps of air.
Mhm.
Um, Women glow
Mhm. To
to
each
other
other.
women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to other women.
to each other. When a woman embraces the source, another woman sees a glow around her. And I feel like that wouldn't have been that hard. And again, it it matters later.
Well, that's one of the downfalls to this everything being third person
Mhm.
here because whoa shit. Sorry. Okay. You would have to see it through one of those woman's eyes to see
Mhm.
the glow. And they'd have to find a way to make a distinction that you're seeing the world through this person's eyes at this
Yeah.
moment. Uh, which would have been cool. I artistically can't think of a way that they would have been able to do that.
They
Because,
would have had to do it in post, yeah, with CG.
well, but I mean, uh,
Oh,
telling the story
yeah,
like the books were written, where you
you
see certain things through
right.
somebody's eyes at a certain time. But I don't know how you would have gone about that, but
No,
that would have been cool.
I can't think of either, but that as far as the glow goes, I feel like it would have been relatively easy for, a woman like, especially like Egwene, as she's first learning this, to comment on it. And, of course the boys see nothing,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Did you see the glow around her and then like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I don't know. No, no, but they kind of did away with the feel or seeing somebody else channel or feeling somebody else channel
Hmm.
along the same lines as they did away with the Wilder idea,
Yeah.
because Nynaeve would have been a Wilder,
Yeah.
one that
Because,
survived. Yeah.
yeah, because she's well into her 20s, and,
But her they did kind of right because she almost just channeled accidentally,
mhm,
whereas Swan they showed doing it on purpose.
mhm.
So, all right, back to the story. Is there Trollocs invaded from the west?
Hmm. I assume she just meant because the Two Rivers is in the west.
Think that's a good pause point.
Okay.
I guess you might give away too much, but now I'm starting to think they combined Swan with Elida. Because that's how Elida would have acted. Bow to me.
Yeah. Yes and no.
Even when they were doing their fake hatred of each other, they still didn't act like that in the books.
No, but it does mention that one of the things that was starting to undermine Sawan is that she is a pretty harsh disciplinarian. Because as I said that one of the things that I liked and was okay in the beginning was how they portrayed her as an Iron Lady, but it it she's got a spine of steel. I call her an Iron Lady, but she doesn't rule with an iron fist, which is the distinction there between her and other people that I don't know if they did a very good job of portraying here.
Well, okay, so spoiler alert on part of the books. When Elida becomes the Emirlin seat, that they do continue to contrast the difference between the two, the previous one, which was Swan, and then Elida, and how not just harsh the punishments were, but how authoritarian she was.
Yeah, I think the part that is probably nagging at you there is her little speech there. Not so much what she did, but her little speech there of basically, I am the law, right? Of, this is my world. Okay, that's getting a little too much into authoritarian divine right of kings territory there. And that's again,
criticizing me is criticizing the science.
Yeah. Iron Lady, not iron fisted. So that could have been a little better.
Yeah. All right, back to it. I think we just went back in time, episode 5, a little bit there, because Nynaeve was just leaving with Loyal. And in the previous episode, Loyal shows up with Rand. So
This is what I was referring to when I said that channeling seems too easy.
Yeah. I'm going to reserve judgment on this one because if they're going to skip a lot of the story in books 1, 2, 3,
Mm.
that was not a bad way of doing what had to be done. Although it would have been kind of simple to at least have her, because with the whole Nynaeve connection, at least have her there say, I need your power or something
Mhm.
like that, to say to show how difficult it was, because they already alluded that Nynaeve was the most powerful one to come through in for a long time. So it could have been, you could have taken 20 more seconds of film time to make that a little bit more of a big deal, because unless they're just done with Shadow Lugoth, and that's
Mhm.
not even going to be anywhere part of the Paden Fane story, then that was kind of not sufficient to show how powerful that should have been. So, but again, there's a chance they're just getting rid of that whole part of the story, which I don't know why
Yeah.
you cast a Paden Fane if you're going to do that. But, and when do you start seeing him again?
Book two.
Sec book
No, the
two,
end of book one. The end of book one.
the end of book one.
Oh, remember he shows up in Shinar.
Yeah, okay, but the significance of that you find out
Mhm.
in the beginning of book two. Okay,
Mhm.
so it would still be good to go along with the story had they just figured out a way to separate him from the dagger and everything. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And now we get to the best part of the episode.
we're just at about, we're not even halfway.
Yeah, this is the
Oh,
best part of the episode.
the best as in you're being sarcastic, or the best as in it's going to piss me off?
No, I'm being sarcastic because boobs.
Oh, sweet. Do I tube in this one? I don't know. I'll keep my hands up. One hand on my drink. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, and go.
You're muted.
Which in the books right there, she would know he could channel if he could see it.
Mhm. What?
Pause. It's the first time in this whole series you have a different accent.
Mm.
So I can't remember where Megan was important in the books. I think it was Little Tower. If I'm
I remember the name, but
yeah,
I
I know she
can't
was there.
remember.
Yeah, I know she was there. I know she was a blue.
Mm.
But I think it was Little Tower. I think she was the master of spies in Little Tower.
Yeah.
But she has a Ilianer accent here.
Mm.
And I think she was from that. So it's the first time they actually have a cultural accent, anything difference between groups of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll probably do this in the post show, but I read a lot of the Sanderson stuff
Hmm.
since the last time we talked. And this is actually important for it because the diversity that they were going for, he explains it. So,
Ah,
but
lovely.
I just wanted to point out this is the first time you have any different accent. Other than Loyal was a little bit different,
Hmm.
but he's
What
go ahead.
what time stamp are you at?
2704.
Okay. Well, let's get through the sauna scene here, and then I'll make a comment.
Okay.
All right. I do like that they gave you a hint of the politics and factions within the White Tower there.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, are you at the end of that scene there with Perrin and Egwene?
Just finished it, and
Yeah.
she's in her room getting undressed or dressed.
Yeah. So uh I guess I need to say something nice. Again, I like their scenery. I like the look of the tower of the
Hmm.
city of Tarvalon and how the tower dominates it. Um, uh, it, it's sometimes hard to envision the tower from the books.
Hmm.
I think they did a great job here of showing it. Um, do you have any problems with that scene?
With the with her talking to Egwene,
Yeah.
other than we don't know what powers are going to have, or he or she,
Yep.
or da, 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 da.
Yep.
Yeah.
I you've already you in the series, again, setting aside my grumpy old nerd rants about the books, in the series, you have talked about souls being reborn,
Hmm.
and you have called him the dragon reborn. So he's going to be the dragon, just reborn. So why haven't they talked at all about the dragon? So no, actually, you do know a fair bit because there are prophecies and because there is history. You know who the dragon was, so you
Hmm.
have an idea of who the dragon will be again. I just another bit of nitpicking there, though. I didn't like that that was a hospital of the yellow because one, you just got done talking about the politics and factions of the White Tower, and then here you have Moraine of the blue showing her business to another Ajah, let
Hmm.
alone just another person. And another bit of nitpicking, I didn't
Oh,
like all the.
I need to go back. So we're at 30, 40, basically.
Mhm.
I want to see who the yellow she's talking to, because just inside in the books, you know who her allies were a little bit.
Yeah, I
Uh,
didn't notice if they gave a
let's see.
name to that
Well,
character.
because if you pause it there, you should get the casting.
Hmm.
Let me go back. Okay.
Yeah, she's just credited as Yellow Sister.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Lorraine,
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah. If we knew which yellow sister that was, we could tell if she
Hmm.
was an ally. What I said, where was I at?
30, 40.
30, 40. Okay.
All right,
All right.
playing.
Back to it. Yep. That was a good little interchange. Introduce you to a concept and the fact that it's not safe there.
Mhm.
Too soon for that.
For what?
Give her my love. Was that traveling or some sort of waygate or?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on a
Be-
knife's edge here, and that just
I assumed what was going to happen there is she was going to open up just a mundane secret passage and sneak in to talk to Sawan so they could scheme. Uh, and instead they do this, which is like, what did we just see? They don't explain it, and whatever it is, because there are
Well, it was a hybrid from traveling and a waygate. Basically, she needed this thing there, but she
Yep,
still traveled from one place to the other.
so there are a couple of different things I'll talk about offline because I don't want to give spoilers. There are a couple of different things I thought it could be, and either way, you've just written yourself into a problematic corner just so you could have this scene. And that's again my rant and my problem about modern movies and TV aren't as good because they're written by and for children. Okay.
Okay.
You-
So general trivia, if you pause it on Amazon
Mhm.
here, there are objects of the One Power created for specific
Mm.
purposes. Some of these objects do very mundane things like play music or create fabric, while others act as doorways to different places, spaces, or experiences.
Mhm.
So there's their explanation if you click on the
Their explanation is supposed to be that that's an object of the power, her little painting there.
it's a
But
Terra and Grail.
even that is problematic. And my big complaint here is that it seems to me that you wanted this thing to happen, and so it's going to happen. And then you figure out afterwards, well, how do you make it happen and how does it make sense? That's always a problem because you interrupt the logical flow of the story and you start creating problems for yourself down the road. And when you're talking about a series as big as this, when you're talking about something that is theoretically going to be like 14, 15 seasons long, you have a lot of time to create problems for yourself.
No, the way they're combining things, 7 or 8 seasons tops.
Well, could be. It
But
depends on.
at the same time, if you're just going to look at this from a common sense standpoint, if she's going all over the world looking for these people, why didn't she just post up in her room?
Yeah.
They don't explain why she can't just go anywhere she wants now. Unless
Yeah.
this only goes from this one place in her room to apparently the old hut that Swan grew up in, which would be kind of,
and which would be weird. So how is it that place? And is that her hut, or is this just a recreation, or is this a, I don't,
you
I
can
don't
hear
wanna
the
get too
frogs
in
and stuff
weeds
in the
here.
background. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So who knows?
Who knows? But again, this is a huge plot hole.
Yeah. And again, you're being shallow and quick, and you're not bringing the audience into this world by giving them any sort. I mean, you don't have to spell everything out. Obviously, that would just get boring. So you don't want to spell everything out, but you need to give the audience some idea of what is happening here and how it's happening, because that's how you pull them into this fantasy world.
Well, and this is one of the game changers when it came to abilities later in the series. So,
all right,
back to it.
I'm laughing at your face.
They they hit the LBGQ crowd and the BDSM crowd in one. Oh.
All right, where are you paused?
Yeah, 35 exactly.
Okay, so this is, again, this isn't just grumpy old nerd ranting. This weakens these characters because Moraine and Sawan, for crying out loud, they're not lovers. I wouldn't know if I would even call them friends. They were friends, but there's something more now. They're comrades in a cause that is literally to save the world. And they're a very tiny cabal, a very tiny conspiracy to do this. And so there's a lot of weight on their shoulders. And these are women who don't have time for romance. They've got too many important things to do. And I think to insert this kind of emotion into these characters weakens them.
Well,
In this,
it's not about emotion for me.
Mm.
It's the overall. I got no better word for it. It's pandering.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I mean,
setting aside the way the scene's done, it's not even done well.
yeah, no, you, there's so much check this box, check
Yeah.
this box, check this box on the way down that it's like, if I'm a member of one of these groups,
Yeah.
at what point do I get tired of being patronized
Yeah.
for the sake of just including me?
Mhm. So to me, this scene is a lot like the last scene that annoyed us so much about the last episode. The last scene of the last episode weakened Lan as a character, but at least it was done well.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of hacky and corny. I'm not sure what the symbolism and the custom was there of the beating on the chest, but it, at least it was done well. It was acted well. You know, it didn't work because of all the reasons we laid out. This scene is really corny and hacky.
Hold on, I'm reading the general trivia again.
Mm.
Swan's tattoos represent her culture and tell the stories of her life. They also represent a map for those skilled enough to navigate the fingers of the dragon. Where was
Okay.
that in the books?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that was encyclopedia knowledge. I don't know.
I don't remember that even from reading the whatever.
All right.
Okay, you can
Play.
keep making up your stuff and saying Jordan would have wanted this. You know?
All right. Sure.
Yeah.
I found the dragon. The girl from the Two Rivers, perhaps.
Your volume's really loud again.
I was right. That's where they're going.
Uh-huh.
All right, back to it. pause for a second. Okay, so my problem with that scene there was, as serious as this is supposed to be, that was a freaking sitcom argument where the man and the wife are going at it, or the two partners are going at it, and they say a little quippy thing, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
let's have a quip, cue the laugh track.
yeah." Oh,
It also, again, you're weakening the character. Moraine is confident to the point of overconfidence and arrogance. And you get the slightest little touch of that in the first couple of episodes. And now you're having her be, waffling and tears in her eyes. And no, this is part of the character. She progresses and grows. There's good characterization through the books as she realizes what her overconfidence and her arrogance has done, and she starts having to reevaluate things and refigure out how she's going to direct things as best she can to get the outcome she wants.
well, it's order of operations here too. So as those who've watched Sexy Time with Sam episodes, I will argue for the power of sexuality a lot as far as how it's a motivator for us and everything. But we're talking, they had to have sexy time and then start talking about the end of the world. And the priority train here is way off, and then have a couple quips to bring each other around in the argument. It's like, no, this would have been like paramount to anything else.
And what did you think about their commentary on the prophecies of the dragon there?
About how there's just different versions of it. Yeah. That's not too out of line with the books.
Well, see, to me, it bothers me for this reason. That is out of line with the books, in that she's right that everyone has their own take on the prophecies, and very few people know the actual prophecies, know the legitimate written down prophecies, and can differentiate them from all of the tales and stories about the Dragon Reborn, which is, again, we're coming right out at the very beginning and saying Dragon Reborn is so annoying because there are so many tales and stories that's why most of the world fears him, and wants to end him before he can fulfill prophecy. But it also annoys me because I kind of feel like that is their excuse for taking so much creative license with the story. It's like, it could be anything. It can mean anything.
Well, so it's not their excuse, it's their tool for perpetuating what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, back to it.
Hey.
Why don't they just take her door? Again, it bites you in the ass.
You know, they mentioned the shawls. How hard would it have been to show them wearing the frickin' things?
True.
Especially in the council meeting, because they do.
Wasn't it required in the
And
council
my
meeting?
hope of salvation.
So we finally see what that thing was
What thing?
from the previews.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently this is supposed to be a waygate.
Yeah.
All right. Not quite how it was described. More like this is more like a Stargate.
Yeah. I guess they thought it needed to be grander.
And lazy.
Which part?
Wait, pause for a second. What's the point of Loyal being there?
Well,
If she's opening the way and
yeah. I don't know why they felt the need to make this a thing of the one power rather than the way it is in the books,
Mhm.
which is anyone can open it up if you just know how.
And again, you're trying to establish importance of characters.
Mhm.
and he's just kind of there now.
Gives you something to do. It also causes, again, you're making problems for yourself down the road unless you're going to completely leave out big chunks of things when you make it to where you have to use the one power to open this.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was weird and annoying. Same thing with the,
And they couldn't take horses in.
yeah, because they didn't want to have to shoot horses inside the ways. It would have made things more complicated and expensive to take the horses to the sound stage. But again, it complicates things later on when you're trying to create this idea that time is of the essence. I'll rant more about what is leading them to the eye of the world later, but again, lazy and shallow.
Yeah. All right. Last, I guess, couple minutes here.
Yeah.
Technically, by that philosophy, everything was beyond their control.
I feel like that's the first time we've heard the wheel weaves is the wheel wills, and it's kind of an important thing.
All right, I'm technically done.
Why do you write problems for yourself? Why is the door closing? It since you wrote that it opens with the one power, I would assume I'm not the only one thinking, why can't Moraine just hold it open with the power? I mean, that's not just me, right? So why are you creating this silly false drama of is Matt going to go in or out? Because you want the silly false drama of is Matt coming or not? And so you start there and you work your way backwards, and it doesn't make sense.
Except, I mean, he doesn't. So that kind of screws a little bit of the story up.
Sure seems that way. So we'll see how next week starts off, but I'm not holding my breath. I mean, why does I made this analogy at the beginning when we did our preview episode of some of the sets to me look like cheap Star Trek The Next Generation sets, and that's literally what it looks like they just walked into, was a Star Trek The Next Generation soundstage. It's like, why? You've done such a good job in other ways of shooting things that don't look crappy, lately. And now you make this waygate that looks styrofoamy, and now you're walking into a bunch of fake styrofoamy looking rocks. Why? Why did you do this?
Here, there's a pattern here.
Hmm.
And it's okay, we liked this, we didn't like this could have been better, this was okay. All the way up until like right at the end, and you're like,
Yeah.
every episode has ended going,
Yeah. And I think it's because they're trying to leave you on some sort of cliffhanger drama, but they're starting there and working their way backwards instead of progressing there naturally.
no, there are shows with good cliffhangers. It's just
Mhm,
this hasn't been one of them.
mhm.
No, because it's not a WTF. I don't know what's going on. It's a holy hell. Why the hell they even do that when it comes to telling the story that we know
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, as a contrast, look at The Expanse, which last season is out now, so I'm gonna have to watch that at some point. But those episodes tend to end on, drama cliffhanger type notes, but you progress there naturally.
Mhm.
So there's a stark difference in the storytelling there and what's happening here.
All right. Well, I guess we need to cut this,
Yeah,
and then we'll come back sometime later because I got to start work at 4.
yeah. And so we'll let this stew, and then we'll sit down and have a longer post game review. I think tonight or tomorrow we'll record that.
Yeah. Let me let this marinate for a minute. And
Right.
all right.